till they too were brought down in a single day, incestuously murdered, each brother shedding a brother's blood. By that same blood right, as next of kin, I claim the throne as my inheritance, both the city and the kingdom. I claim it, and I hold it from today as mine by right. There is no certain measure of a man's quality, the depth of his intellect, or the maturity of his judgment, until he is put to the supreme test by the exercise of absolute power in the state. My own opinion is well known. The ruler who fears the consequences of his actions, or who is afraid to act openly, or take the good advice of his senators, is beneath contempt. Equally contemptible is the man who puts the interests of his friends or his relations before his country. There is nothing good can be said of him. Let me make it plain before the gods, whose eyes are in every council chamber. When I see any threat to this nation, from whatever direction, I shall make it public. No one who is an enemy of the state shall ever be any friend of mine. The state, the fatherland, is everything to us. The ship we all sail in. If she sinks, we all drown, and friendship drowns with us. That's my policy. A policy of service to the Commonwealth. And in pursuance of that policy, I have issued an official state decree concerning the sons of Oedipus. Eteocles, who died fighting for his country and with exceptional bravery. We shall bury him with all the honors and funeral ceremonies customary for a man who died a hero. The other, the outcast, the exile, his brother Polynices, who returned here at the head of a foreign army to destroy his homeland, burn down this city and reduce the people to a condition of slavery or kill them in the streets. I have ordered that he is to have no grave at all. No one is to bury him or mourn for him. His body is to be left in the open, uncovered, a stinking feast for the scavengers, dogs and crows, a sight to inspire terror. I intend to make it quite plain that never, under my administration, will people who commit crimes against the state reap any benefits from their actions. And at the expense of honest, decent citizens, too. The people who serve the state, alive or dead, that makes no difference. I shall honor them and reward them, too.
Son of Monoikeus, you are king now. You have delivered your verdict and sentence upon the man who defended the city and the man who attacked it. Unambiguously.
Your least word has the force of law, and it binds the dead as well as the living. We are all at your disposal.
Make sure, then, that my orders are carried out.
Younger men than us should implement your policies.
I don't mean that. Polynices' body is already under guard.
What else must we do?
What other responsibility do you lay upon us?
Not to intrigue with dissidents or subversive elements.
We are not mad, sir.
We know the law and the penalty for breaking it.
Which will be death. And be in no doubt I shall enforce it. Because there are always men who can be bought, who will risk anything, even death, if the bribe is large enough.
My Lord Creon! I can hardly speak for lack of breath. Not because I ran. I kept on stopping, as a matter of fact, half a dozen times. And I hung about as much as I dared. I haven't thought about anything so much for a long time. Listen, don't hurry, I said to myself. Chances are, dimwit, you're hurrying to the firing squad. But then I said to myself, you see, hang about, I said, or rather don't, because if Creon hears this from somebody else, you're really in trouble. So I hurried here as slow as I could, if you see what I mean. It's funny how long a mile can take you when you're thinking what I was thinking. However, duty called in the end, and I reckoned it would be safer to face it out. It may be unimportant, but I've come here, so now I'll tell you. If I'm punished for it, the gods will be behind it, that's for sure. So I wouldn't have escaped it anyway.
No sense, man. Why are you frightened?
Well, first of all, sir, for myself, like, my own point of view, I never done it, and I didn't see who else done it neither, so I shouldn't be punished for it, should I?
Is there any need for all this preamble? You take great care to dissociate yourself from what you say. It must be bad news.
It is bad news, sir, I'm afraid. I don't know how to put it for the best.
The plainest way, and then we can have done with you.
Straight out with it, then. The body's buried. Well, someone or other, a handful of dust, that's all, dry dust. But properly sprinkled, you know, religiously, and then gone, whoever it was.
Do you know what you're saying? Who has dared to disobey my orders?
No way of knowing, so we've no idea. There'd been no digging, no spade marks or nothing. The ground's rock hard. There were no wheel tracks either from a chariot or cart or anything. In fact, no clues of any kind at all. Nothing to tell you who might have done it. Well, when the sentry taking the early turn discovered what had happened and reported back, we were all shattered and scared stiff. It was as though the body had disappeared. Not buried in a proper grave, I don't mean, but lightly covered with a layer of earth. Well, almost as though some passing stranger, with a religious turn of mind, knowing that being left unburied means everlasting anguish and wandering without rest, had scattered a few handfuls. There was no track of animals either, not from dogs or anything who might have gnawed at it and covered it over with their hind legs like they do a bone. A real row started then, I can tell you. We all shouted at each other, and it could have been a fight. There was no one there to stop us. Well, any one of us could have done it. We all suspected each other, but we all denied it. And there was no evidence to prove one man guilty rather than another. So then we all dared each other to swear to go through fire and water to hold red-hot pokers in our hands and call all the gods as witnesses that we hadn't done it and didn't know anyone who had or would even think of it, let alone do it. And none of any of it got us nowhere. But then one of the fellas had his say. And he scared us all shitless, I can tell you. He said, and we knew he was dead right, there was no way out of it. We had to do it and take our chances. This fella said, one of us lot must tell the king, because we can't just hide it, can we? That's what he said. And we knew he was right. So we decided we'd have to draw lots. Just my luck. I drew the short straw. So, here I am. And I don't like telling it not one little bit more than you like hearing it. The bloke who brings bad news never gets a medal.
My Lord Creon, this policy of yours has worried me from the start.
My political instinct tells me this may be some sort of warning or sign, and perhaps from the gods.
How dare you? Shut your mouths, both of you, before I lose my temper. And you, if you are a superannuated fool, at least don't talk like one. Is it likely, remotely likely, that the gods would think twice over that pile of stinking meat? By God, it's blasphemy! Even to suggest that they would care a damn whether he was buried or not. Let alone grant him an honorable funeral, as though he were one of their principal supporters, what? The man who came to burn down their temples, plunder their treasuries, pull down their statues and make a mockery of all their laws? Do the gods love criminals these days? No, they do not. But, gentlemen, there are men in this city, and I've noted them, a subversive faction, enemies of the state, a cell of oppositionists, call them what you will, who reject the laws and my leadership. They meet in secret and nod and whisper and talk of the great day. Seditious men they are. And they are behind this. Any fool can see that. Their bribery has suborned my soldiers and paid for this demonstration against my authority. Money, gentlemen. Money. The virus that infects mankind with every sickness we have a name for, no greater scourge than that. Money it is that pounds great cities into piles of rubble, turns people by the millions into homeless refugees, takes honest citizens and corrupts them into doing things they'd be ashamed to think of before the fee was mentioned, and in the end, brings them into the execution chamber. Well, whoever they are, these men who have sold themselves, they'll find the price considerably higher than they thought it was. You, come here. Come here! By Zeus, whom I regard as my personal patron, and by all the gods men worship anywhere, I swear to you, soldier, that either you will find the man who buried Polynices' body in defiance of my express command, bring him here to me, the actual man who sprinkled the earth, no other will do, standing here in front of me. Or you, soldier, will die for it. Death, I promise you, will be the least of your punishments. You will be made a public example and interrogated by the security police. kept standing, beaten across the feet, the whole repertoire of special techniques at which we excel so much, until you confess the full range of this conspiracy. Who paid you, how much, and for what purpose? The choice is yours. Perhaps that indicates where your own best interests lie. Crimes against the state and its laws, you'll find, are very unprofitable in the end.
Am I allowed to speak, sir?
Now, why should you speak? Every word you say is painful to me.
Well, it can't be earache, can it, sir? Not what I said. It must stick in your gullet. Or further down, maybe. A sort of pain in the conscience.
Do you dare to answer me back and make jokes about my conscience?
Me, sir? No, sir. I might give you earache, I can see that. I talk too much, always have done. But the other pain, the heartburn, as it were, it's the criminal causing that, sir, not me.
Not short of a quick answer, either.
No, sir. But I didn't bury the body. Not guilty to that, sir.
Maybe guilty of selling your eyes for money, eh, Sentry? Looking the other way for cash?
Oh, you're an intelligent man, sir, and well-educated, and I'm not. But in this case, I'm thinking clearly, and you're mistaken.
You can think what you like. Whatever you think. If you fail to find this enemy of the state and bring him here to me, you'll find that money, from whatever source, will certainly not save your life.
Well, let's hope they find him then, whoever he is. But one thing I'm sure of, they won't find me. I never thought I'd get out of here alive. But when I do get out, nothing will bring me back again. I've had an amazing stroke of luck, and I won't chance my arm a second time.
Is there anything more wonderful on earth, our marvelous planet, and the miracle of man?
With what arrogant ease he rides the dangerous seas, from the waves' towering summit to the yawning trough beneath.
The Earth Mother herself, before time began, the oldest of the ageless gods, learned to endure his driving plough, turning the earth and breaking the clods,
Till, by the sweat of his brow, she yielded up her fruitfulness.
The quick-witted birds are no match for him, neither victim nor predator among the beasts of the plain, nor the sea's seething masses.
His cunning surpasses their instinct. His skill is the greater. His snares never fail, and his nets teem.
The wild bull of the savage mountain, and the magnificent stag who passes like a king through upland and glen.
The untamed horse with his matted tresses uncut on his neck.
All submit to man, and the yoke, and the bit, and his power increases.
He has mastered the mysteries of language and thought, which moves faster than the wind he has tamed and made rational.
Political wisdom, too, all the knowledge of peoples and states.
All the practical arts of government he has studied and refined.
Built cities to shelter his head against rain and danger and cold.
And ordered all things in his mind. There is no problem he cannot resolve by the exercise of his brains or his breath.
And the only disease he cannot salve or cure is death.
In action, he is subtle beyond imagination, limitless in his skill. And these gifts are both enemies and friends, as he applies them with equal determination to good or to evil ends.
All men honor, and the state uplifts that man to the heights of glory, whose powers uphold the Constitution, and the gods, and their laws. His city prospers.
But if he shifts his ground and takes the wrong path, despising morality and blown up with pride, indulges himself and his power, at my heart may he never warm himself or sit at my side.